In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the shutter speed exercise for photo class. First of all, what is the shutter in a digital camera? This is two images that show the inside of what digital cameras look like. So in this one, you can see that there is the lens, and the yellow light is going through the lens, through the aperture, and this black rectangle right here represents the shutter. And at this point, the shutter is open and it's allowing the light to go through and hit the image sensor of the digital camera. In this diagram, we can see that the light is represented by this orange line. It's going down the lens, it's hitting different mirrors, and eventually it will go through the shutter, which is this red line right here, located right in front of the sensor. So what does a real shutter look like? These are actual shutter pieces that are taken out of a digital camera. So you can see that here's the rectangle, and this has 3 shutter blades, and this is a close-up image of what shutter blades actually look like. They have little arms on them here that are motorized, and according to the settings that you put on the camera, it keeps the blades open for a certain amount of time. And that can affect the image that you take drastically. For example, this pinwheel was moving in every single shot, but in the first shot it had an extremely fast shutter speed of 1/500th of a second. So that had the effect of stop action. The middle one, the shutter speed was a little slower, and on the one on the end, it was a really slow shutter speed of 1/10th of a second, and you get really blurred action. Some of you may have seen these images and wonder, how the heck do you get that effect? Well, anything that is moving when you use a slow shutter on your camera will give the effect of being blurry. So the tail lights and the headlights on the freeway, the water spilling down the rocks, the stars in the sky. So the people that took these photos may have had the shutter open for as much as 30 minutes or even hours to get the effects that they did. This is the effect that you can achieve with a fast shutter. So the arrow frozen in action as it's being released from the bow, the bird's wings spread out, stop action, frozen by a fast shutter speed. These are how you set the settings on the camera. So for the mode dial, you will turn it to TV. Turn it to this little white dash right here. And TV is the shutter priority mode. And the way that you change the shutter is by moving this dial with your finger. Where you see the shutter measurement is right here on the back of the camera. So as you change the dial, this number will change. So start off with 1/10th of a second, and then take an image, and then change it to maybe a 50th of a second, then do an 80th of a second, and keep going up and up and up until you get the effect that you want. You should set the ISO on auto, and the way that you do that is to click this ISO button right here, and when you get the choices here on the back, go ahead and use the keys here to select auto and then push the set button. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to have a setup that looks like this, and these are the supplies that you need. So you need a camera and a tripod. You need a pinwheel with a clamp to hold the handle of the pinwheel to keep it upright. You will need colored construction paper to tape onto the wall behind the pinwheel just to give it a little bit of pizzazz, and obviously tape to hold the construction paper to the wall. And please treat the construction paper kindly. If it's in good condition, I can reuse it for other assignments. On a day when there's no wind, you will need a fan, and the extension cord is going through the door right here, and there's a wood block at the bottom to hold it open a little bit so the cord doesn't get crushed. You'll also need a cart or a table. However, if it's a windy day, then you can work on the quad if you want to. And in that case, all you would need is a camera, a pinwheel, and a clamp. And what I would like for you to do is angle the camera so that any building, cement, trash cans, etc. are not visible, so that all you see is grass, and it creates a nice setting for the image. So once you take your photos, I would like for your portfolio slide to look something like this. So put 3 images in it, a fast, medium, and slow shutter speed. And let me show you a little bit about how to do that. So here's Photoshop, but before Photoshop, here are my images in my folder, and I ended up having to take about 8 images until I got all of the different shots that I needed. And then I went through these 8 images and pulled out my top 3. And I opened my top 3 here in Photoshop. And then I used, as usual, like we do for most of our assignments, I used the snipping tool, and I snipped each of those and then copied it and pasted it into my digital portfolio, and then changed the size of it to fit. But how did I get these numbers down here at the bottom? Well, let me show you how that works. In Photoshop, if this is the image that you want to know the information about, you go to File, File Info, and right here for exposure, it shows you that the first setting is 1/800th of a second. So that's where I got that information. So for the next one, File, File Info, 1/85th of a second. And for the last one, File, File Info, 1/10th of a second. So that's where I looked to find the information that I wrote underneath each of the photos. So to make a text box, you simply click this T right here, and you click and drag, and then you can type inside this box. And I would like for you to put, in addition to the setting, say which one is a fast and which one is a slowed shutter speed, and the effect that it creates. So this is blurred action, and this is stop action. That's it for this video. Have fun!